All right. Well, welcome back, audience, to another exciting edition of Meditations on Mastery. And I'm very excited to have Dr. Gold and Dr. Gold with me today. They are both Black Belt leadership training students at Krav Maga Martial Arts, but they're also both doctors. And Dr. Gold is a medical doctor and a holistic specialist. And Dr. Professor Gold teaches leadership and business at St. Leo University. And I'd like to first of all thank you both for making the time for this, because we are so excited and honored to have you on the Black Belt leadership journey with us. And I'd like to start by maybe each of you speaking a little bit to your specific specialties and what you do when you're not training in Krav Maga martial arts.
First, ladies first.
Oh, thank you. And first, thank you, Grandmaster Steve, for having me here. Krav Maga has definitely changed our lives. We feel like we're excelling, not only getting physically strong, but mentally strong and more confident. And I'm literally feeling more focused in my day-to-day agendas too. So I thank you for that. And Krav Camp rocked. It was awesome. So I just wanted to thank you for a camp. It was just so enlightening, and I look forward to becoming a Black Belt. So yay. So I am a medical doctor and holistic medical doctor. For me, the transformation began when I got sick several years back, and it was life. My husband can attest to this. I was basically had severe arthritis in my neck. I woke up screaming almost every night. My doctor said I was one car accident away from paralysis. I had severe herniations. So literally it was compressing the kind of soft area between the bones. We're pushing out those discs. We're actually touching that spinal cord. And they basically said, if I don't get surgery, I could be paralyzed. And I wanted obviously to feel better, but I knew long-term, I read all the side effects, and I've met people who got the surgery, sometimes got better, but sometimes didn't. And then they said, because we're fusing your neck, the area above and below the area have to work harder. So because I was in my 30s, you're probably going to need more surgeries down the road, because this can last only so long. So then I was literally looking to get, over time, my whole spine just, fused, and I could barely, and I'm a yoga teacher. So I was like, I want to actually move. And also, what's causing it? Was it lack of surgery that actually caused this? And of course they said, we're not sure, but, and I thought maybe because as a medical student, I put a lot of books in my pockets. This is old school, before cell phones, and who knows, but I had, I know I needed to kind of get to the root cause and get well. So thankfully I prayed to God. I did a lot of soul searching. My husband was amazingly supportive. And I did a lot of physical therapy. Laughter yoga was, and this is the premise for my book, if it comes in, that's okay. I need a green screen. But anyway, it's 7 Habits of Extremely Happy People. But it taught me to laugh through the pain, because when I took so many narcotics, I couldn't think straight. And it was hard to function. And my doctor said, don't worry, we can help you with the disability forms. But I didn't want to be disabled. I wanted to work. I wanted to be active, part of community. I wanted to give, like you teach us in Krav Maga. It's not what you get in life, it's what you give. And for me, getting patients well long-term, treating the root cause, so we actually keep them out of the office, healthy nutrition, mindset, good, strong physical body. That was the elements to make you well. I knew I had to add that to my regimen. So I couldn't exercise because I was just on all these steroids, but I could laugh. And that really made a huge difference. I could watch what I was eating, because honestly, with all the steroids, they made me want to eat more than my husband, and my pants ripped. My patients congratulated me, Mazel Tov, how far along are you? And I was like, So thankfully, fast forward, I'm much better. Neck is returning to a normal neck with chiropractic care, obviously strength training through Krav Maga. I also powerlift, and we have a trainer, but in a lot of stretching. I do yoga, which has been lovely, and I laugh a lot. So that's helped.
And a little bit about what your business, what you actually do now is.
Yeah, so my office is Dr. Gold's Optimal Living Institute. We've been open since 2006. Our goal is to get, again, patients well. So we do traditional bread and butter medicine as well as holistic medicine. Many patients seek us out from all over, and we do telemedicine, so we can actually see patients from anywhere. And the great part is we actually treat that root cause. So we do functional medicine. So if a patient is having gut issues, instead of just prescribing medicines, which they may need and I can prescribe them, we also search for why their gut is sick. So we treat that. And if they have headaches, why are they having the headaches or not sleeping? So once we get to that root cause, a lot of times they feel better. It could be hormonal imbalances, nutritional deficiencies. Even there are also early cancer markers you can check for, like breast cancer in particular. It's wonderful to really help somebody and then give them their life back so they feel better and get them out of pain too.
That's outstanding. Not just treating the symptom, but actually getting to the cause. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Professor Gold, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at St. Leo?
First off, I've got to echo what my lovely wife just said. I'm thrilled to be a part of this community. I'm so happy that you invited us to be a part of your podcast. This picture behind me is what we did on Saturday. Krav Camp, it kicked my butt. It laid me out, but I learned so much, and it was a great experience. And I've got to say that you've built an incredible community here. As you noted in camp, it's a community of good people. And you don't find that very often. It's a very unique community because there's always people that they just like to rub other people and they don't like to, I don't know, you think about kind of the fly in the ointment or the black sheep of the family type of a situation. And with all the people that I've met in your community, I can't say you have any of that. It's fabulous. It's just a bunch of really good people.
They're
and I'm
genuine.
thrilled to be a part of it. Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it is that they're just genuine. They're genuinely nice people. We're all there for the same reason. That's to learn, to grow, develop, and become better.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
Yeah,
and I want to echo the kids. I honestly have never met such well-behaved, and they're not drugs. I was like, are they drugs? Is there like something that they do in the water or something they give? But no, they're just good kids and loving and caring and helpful and just kind. It's amazing. So thank you for all this.
You got some tough kids in there.
They are, and they're tough. Yeah,
So,
very spirited in a good way.
Great. It's so a little bit about me. I'm a PhD in business. I got my doctorate at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. My undergraduate degree is in finance from the Ohio State University. So I always have fun when football season rolls around. Basketball season was interesting this year. My Tar Heels didn't do too well, but my Buckeyes did all right. They fell flat on their face in the tournament. They got bounced by a number 15 seed, which is only, I think, the fifth or sixth time that's ever happened in the tournament, where a number 15 has beaten number 2 seed. But enough of that. My area of focus, I've got a number of different areas. I'm classically trained in finance. I spent time on Wall Street, spent time in London's financial district. So I understand the numbers aspect of it. I've also been working on computers since I was a kid, days of the Apple II Plus, Timex Sinclair 1000, things like that, the stuff that you grew up on. Right, the young Commodore 64 computers. And so, I've got that technical perspective as well, but I really focus on strategy and innovation now and how all that comes together. My doctorate was in strategy and innovation. I've been teaching courses for, it's hard to believe, it's been 15, 16 years now, in a combination of topics related to leadership, strategy, innovation management. I do a lot of work in professional development, drawing on a lot of experts like Tony Robbins and Scott Dinsmore and Zig Ziglar and things like that, because I firmly believe that, and as you said this before, you and I, it's so funny because when you use quotes in our leadership class, and it's the same quotes that I use in my class.
I was thinking that too. How similar
great minds think alike, right? But it's, life is really, it's 10% of what happens and 90% of how you deal with it. So what I do is I take it upon myself, and at St. Leo, I've been there for 8 years. Now I'm mostly dealing with the graduate students, MBA and doctoral students. And I take it upon myself I teach an early class in their program. In other words, I teach the very first MBA class and the second doctoral class. And I teach them a lot of mental skills that will help them to deal with the challenges of graduate school. And I've put together a book. I call it Emotional Dexterity, Finding and Controlling Your Emotional Light Switch. And it's kind of what I see as the second level of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is very reactive in nature. Okay, you're feeling a certain way, I'm feeling a certain way. Let's see if I can figure out how to have better interactions with you, more productive interactions, based on my assessment of how I'm feeling and how you're feeling, right? But it doesn't go into how you can actively create your desired emotional state, how you can change things, why you're predisposed to feeling certain emotions in certain situations. So my approach delves pretty deeply into all of that. We talk about, the first thing is understanding why you have certain emotions and why you're predisposed to feeling certain emotions in certain situations. So we talk about things like beliefs and values and things like that. And then we get into some techniques it's a simplification of emotional intelligence, the techniques and how to handle those things. And then as I had introduced in Krav Maga leadership, the 7 C's, which I believe are the mindset of optimal performance. I think it's, if you really firmly believe in these, that you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to. Nothing can hold you back. So that's kind of a little bit about me. I work extensively with my doctoral students. I've done a lot of trainings in companies. I've given a lot of talks literally all over the world on these topics. I've worked with local companies. I've worked with a number of different teams, athletic teams at St. Leo, on some of these concepts and how to improve, how to take what I talk about and how you use that to leverage your performance on the athletic field. So I've worked with our tennis team, the women's basketball team, softball, baseball, things like that, the men's and women's lacrosse teams. So I've worked with a variety of different teams up there over the years on some of these principles. And it's, as I've gone through this leadership with you and started to get involved with leadership, a lot of the things that we talk about are very similar. It's amazing how, like I said earlier, great minds think alike, and about a lot of the same things that I talk about and that I teach in my courses.
That's exactly what was resonating for me as you were speaking, and I want to come back to letting you share with everybody about your 7 C's, but before that, it's interesting to me because normally I use the physical aspects of what we do in our martial arts program, and then I use those physical aspects as an analogy to leadership in the world, right? Like to applying it to leadership, as you know. Well, the interesting thing when I was listening to you talk about the emotional response thing is that I could almost do it in exactly the opposite way from that one, because it's one of the things that ends up happening, of course, as a student on the way to black belt is that they totally learn to control their emotional response as pertains to fear, as pertains to like a story I was just telling, because we had the black belt test this weekend, was that I don't let a beginning student watch a black belt test because at that time it would be scary to them because they're not the person prepared for that test.
Right.
By the time they take the test, they've been to sufficient stress drills and sufficient physical and mental training that now they are prepared to deal in a productive way to the emotional stress that comes from fear when confronted with violence in this specific. And it's kind of neat because it's the opposite of normal. It's a physical example of what it is that you teach. So that's kind of neat. So would you like to share with the audience what the 7 C's are?
Sure. So what I've put together is an approach that it starts with the foundational 4. These, by definition, and when I talk about by definition, you have to really ingrain these as a belief structure in yourself and in your psyche, in your mindset. But by definition, if you believe in these 4 and you really embrace them, you'll accomplish all the goals that you set to accomplish. The next 3 are what I call the transformational 3. And those are ones that really set you apart, get you to push the edge, not settle for kind of just the status quo, and really get you to learn and grow. So the first one is choice. And what happens with choice is that if you think about emotions, and choice is kind of setting that underlying emotional baseline. If you feel like you're being forced and manipulated into something, you're starting it in a bad place. But if you say, I have to, that implies that you don't want to do it, right? That somebody else is in control. So by realizing that you have the choice in every single thing that you do, it's freeing. It puts you in a better emotional state to start with. So another example is just we talked about that simple word choice, but it really is things just like getting out of bed and going to work. I say, I tell people, you don't have to go to work. They say, oh yeah, I do. If I don't go to work, this is going to happen. I say, no, but you're missing the point. It's a mindset.
Right.
If you feel like you have to go to work, you're already setting yourself up in a bad place. You choose to go to work. You choose to go to school. You choose to go to class. Because if you don't, you know what the outcomes are associated with the other action, right? I'm not going to say consequences or punishment or anything like that. It's just an outcome.
Right.
So it's a combination of weighing that decision based on your knowledge of the outcomes, depending on which path you choose to go down. So just being in the position of choosing puts you in a great place emotionally. The second one is commitment. And it's real simple. If you can't do it, don't commit. If you commit, make sure you find a way and get it
Yeah,
done,
follow through.
period. End of story, no ifs, and buts, no excuses. So when it comes to commitment, this is where you have to also be realistic. I could commit to being a star wide receiver for the Buccaneers here, but it's not going to happen. It's not realistic, right? I choose to, I commit to, but it's got to be within the realm of reality, right? That's not realistic. It's not realistic for me to go play in the NBA or professional sports league or what have you. I'm slow, I'm short, it doesn't work very well. So that commitment though is what gets you to pursue, right? It's when you're things in life don't come easy. The best things in life don't come easy. So when you hit that roadblock, how do you get through it? It's that commitment, right? It's that commitment that keeps driving you. The third one is capability. You got to believe that you can do this. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe that you have the capability to do what and all these kind of work in unison. You'll see me using the same terms and the terms interchangeably in sentences describing the other ones because they all work together, right? You've got to believe you have the capability to do what you committed to do.
Absolutely.
That's all it is. If you don't believe in the fact that you have the capability, you're going to undermine yourself. Right? Henry Ford, quote you use as well. Yeah. Whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. And it truly is about that belief structure, right? If you don't think you're going to do it, you're going to find ways to not get it done. So you got to believe you have that capability. You got to commit to that course of action. Now, that said, if something's not going the right way and you need to do something a little different, you've got to be you got to be willing to change. You've got to embrace change. You've got to look forward to change. And again, you got to believe you have the capability to change. A lot of people think they're stuck in their ways and they can't change, right? You've got to commit to changing. Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. If you're not getting the result, using that same approach isn't going to change the outcome. So you've got to change the approach, but you've got to believe that you can change. You've got to choose to change. So you see all those work hand in hand. And by definition, you choose something realistic, you commit to it, you believe that you have the capability. And if you're not moving your way along towards that goal, you make a change so you can progress. By definition, you will complete any task that you commit to, anything that you set your goal to, anything you set your mind to, you will complete it. Now, those are the fundamental four. The next three are the transformational three. First one is challenge, right? That's pushing yourself. That's pushing yourself to grow and learn, right? That's going beyond. It's not just accepting the status quo. It's okay, I want to do something more. The next one is what you've talked about as well. And I keep saying what you've talked about because we have very similar ideologies here. It's that concept of continuous learning. Either you grow or you die. So if you're not growing, you're stagnating. So you've got to keep learning. You've got to keep pushing. And that goes hand in hand with challenge. If you're trying to attack something new or challenge yourself or push yourself into an area that you're not familiar with, you got to learn about it, right? And whether it be going out, reading a book, looking at a podcast, looking up an expert, looking for a mentor or something like that, somebody whose behavior you want to model. Any of those approaches work, but you've got to learn if you want to challenge yourself. And then the final one is courage. And this, along with that commitment, is what gets you through the hard times. I talk to people who are runners all the time. They hit anywhere between mile 19 and mile 23. They hit that wall. And they physically feel it, right? But if you're a marathoner, it's 99% mental. You've trained, you've run marathons in practice multiple times, right? But you hit that wall and you have to push. Once you push through it, you're fine. So you either give up or you keep going. And you've got to have that courage to keep going.
It's so amazing to me. And I'm so, we did not talk or plan or anything before this. Like, people listening probably don't realize that, but it's because I'm sitting here listening to talking and I'm having the same thing in the opposite direction. I'm like, wow, this is the journey to black belt. Like every part of it, right? Like, it's like, because first is that choice, where we talked about that, like when we it's not when a student first signs up in the dojo, because we put them in that basic course first. Once they decide they want to become a black belt, we have them commit the second thing by going into the black belt leadership training program and saying, hey, I'm not going to quit until I become a black belt. We, along the way, as we're taking them through the ranks, of course, we are actually giving them the belief in their capability because they're doing slightly progressively harder things. and they're getting more and more confidence. One of our superpowers, confidence in the, and then, and then of course the change is different for everybody, I think, on the process. Like I often say that one of the magic of the system is that we take the kid that has no confidence, he's very, very shy, and we give him confidence, right? But on the other hand, you take the kid who's got lots of confidence but no self-control, and we give them that, right? And of course the same thing with adults. I think we talk about the benefits that we do for kids more just because it's not offensive when you're talking about a kid. But the reality is that all of us on this call know that we all have stuff we need to continue to work on, which, and the challenge, obviously, right, on the way to the black belt, continuous learning, like the black belt principles that we teach here, the law of the process and constant never-ending improvement are all about that, right? All the way to and then you talked about the courage you finished with the black belt test. I mean, it honestly, I kind of let it off that way by saying that most people that walk in the dojo couldn't even watch a black belt test without being afraid at the beginning. Right. But by the time they take the black belt test, they're mentally and physically and spiritually prepared to have the courage to because look, everybody hits their breaking point and wants to quit. And I always say it's about how you react to that when you get there that matters. And so, it's so wild. It's almost the two are totally symbiotic, our philosophies.
If I may also, I want to add that you make it so much fun, because that was one thing that I noticed. I've been to other dojos and it's very different, but you actually say, I want us to have fun. And that's one thing you usually ask, every class at the end.
Every class.
Yeah. Did you have fun? Did you have fun? And it's just so great because honestly, if you do enjoy the process, you're more likely to continue it. And it's just with anything, I obviously focus on health and getting people well, mentally, physically, spiritually and you do as well. And you do, Drew, as well. The idea is as a physician and medical doctor, we want their health, organized so they can do the stuff that they want to live their life for, so they can achieve a black belt leadership.
To you next, Dr. Tanya Goat. I had actually framed the question in my mind because your husband painted really, really well the mental side of this as pertains to thing. I was thinking that then we could come to you.
Oh, sure.
And you could speak to the physical side, because here's the other reality is not only does that black belt have to be able mentally and spiritually, which we've really harped on so far,
right?
But it's a physically grueling test, right? So if you were talking to my students, which you are right now, you could give them some advice about the types of things to make sure that the body will be prepared to, and I know that you also do the mind because you're very much into the happiness stuff and all, but specifically, if you could speak a little bit first to some of the, nutritional and or exercise and or, holistic habits that you think, should certainly be supplemental in our tool bags before we go to become black belts.
Yeah. And honestly, nutrition is paramount, because sometimes you do see people work out really well and then they go eat a candy bar. And I'm not saying you can never have a candy bar or ice cream. It's what we do on a regular basis that's key. Because I'll occasionally, my husband will attest to this, just get the munchies and want some. I think it was once in how many years I said, let's go for an ice cream run. And his eyes just bugged out because I think
wait. You got to understand, this was like right as the pandemic took off it had to be in March or April. Very few things were open. It was early. It was 8 o'clock at night, but all the stores were closing down at 7 o'clock. So we actually wound up at Wawa of all places because it was the only place that was open that we could find ice cream.
That's outstanding.
And you have to know, Drew was like, I'm so tired, I'm going to bed. But once I said, honey, do you want to get some ice cream?
Boom, let's go.
Okay, I'm ready. Like getting in the car. Come on, honey, Lord. Come on, honey.
5 food groups, by the way.
Huh?
I said ice cream is one of my 5 food groups.
Oh, yeah, he counts as a food. Now, he used to eat a half a gallon. Now he's so much better. He'll literally, a half a gallon will last a few weeks. So it's really good.
I find it interesting that you went from the nutrition, though, when you said he was getting tired, but then the ice cream, he was excited, but you kind of led into probably another one of the most important things, right? It's a weakness of mine, getting enough rest.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things, if you want to be a black belt, you need to let the body heal. And the slow wave sleep is key, because honestly, sometimes people medicate to get to bed, whether that's Benadryl or alcohol or just whatever they're taking. But you have to know the side effects of prescription medicines or other medications, because remember, alcohol is a drug. and even Benadryl. It can, even though it's over the counter, it can affect your sensorium, especially long term. It can increase your risk for possible mental thought processes, including dementia and stuff like that. So you want to be mindful of taking this on a long-term basis. That includes Ambien and Xanax. And I know I'm probably like, people are like, all right, I'm going to tune out now. Once you said my drug, that's it, forget it. But honestly, there are healthier substitutions, and education can make a huge difference. So I do recommend a lot of healthier options that can work for folks, and then also getting to that root cause. But during sleep is when we replenish, when we actually heal. So if you had a hard day at Krav Maga and your muscles are aching and sore, they need to start to heal. You need to actually have that deep sleep. And you're not going to get sometimes those deep sleep with those medications just by themselves. You may get up and feel rested, but the slow, deep sleep a lot of times comes from more natural solutions, and then also treating the root cause. Because if your hormones are out of sorts and you don't treat that, that can continue to fester. And then if literally you're living on very little sleep, over time you just poop out. So yeah, you might say, well, I'm just getting by, I'll just drink more coffee. But honestly, that's gonna, wear down where you're gonna build tolerance to the coffee. It's not gonna work as well. And then long-term caffeine is not really good. It can cause arrhythmias, anxiety. And then again, your body is not repairing. Food, we know that's the building block. So how much protein you're getting. And if I just may backtrack for a moment, at any age, you can build muscle. There is a condition known as sarcopenia. It's starting at age 30. You lose about 3 to 5% of your muscle mass every decade. It may not sound like much, but when you're 40, oh, it's only 3%, 5%. But think about once you're 60, that's like 30% muscle is getting lost if you don't build it. Now, it can slow down if you're exercising, building muscle. And that's why I highly recommend of all age groups to weight train or resistance. Use a resistance band for training, or you can use body weight as well. But the actual long-term, slowly adding it appropriately, heavy weights, so good for the body. And we know, obviously, Krav Maga, it's a lot of physical muscle motion in addition. It really strengthens. And if you decide I want to do Krav Maga and weight training, you can do both.
Yeah, absolutely.
The nice thing is they'll work together because you'll just get stronger. People are surprised and they're like, oh my God, your punch is so strong. But it's because I deadlift. I literally was a weakling before, and my husband can attest to this. I mean, they're not huge right now, but I literally had no definition in my arms. So I had like literally spaghetti arms. And this was built in the last decade because I got sick. I knew my neck, it wasn't due to lack of surgery that I had the herniation. It was due to a weak neck. So I just built up the strength, and my shoulders got broader. My husband even comments, he's like, you're looking good. But then the nice part is you can get sexier in your 60s, in your 70s, over 45 doesn't have to go downhill. And you can actually feel a lot stronger and healthier. And that's the greatest part, because honestly, dedication, the mindset with a toned, healthy body and good nutrition. So good protein, it does vary on the amount, because some people say, do I need my body weight in kilograms, or do I need my body weight in actual pounds? It depends what you're doing. So I would specify that for each person. And it varies also if you have medical conditions. But protein is paramount to building the muscle. It's paramount to good health. So you do, and it steadies the sugars. So if your protein is all over the place, then that's not going to be helpful either. And you're going to dip and you're going to get really hungry. And then oftentimes that's when we reach for either caffeine or sugar rush or something like that. And that can happen towards the evening, a few hours after dinner. And that's when we get the munchies. And for folks that I see, a lot of patients, it really is a lot of times the evening time where they like say, I was doing well, with my diet, which I actually don't believe in diet. Think of the first 3 letters in that word. Yeah, who wants to feel like they're dying, But putting in a wholesome plan of real food. And then yes, if you want to do a little cheat here and there, as long as, again, it's not going to have dire consequences. I had a patient say, I want to cheat, but they're diabetic. And if you're a brittle diabetic, which means you can't even tolerate little amounts of sugar, that puts you in the hospital, then don't do it. It's not worth it. Yeah. But there is Gymna, which is a supplement that can make sugar taste like really tastes yucky. It can make sugar not taste good. So then you're actually craving more healthier foods because you don't want that sugar, because it makes a negative association. So you can do that as well. And then protein, the type of protein matters. So are you doing grass-fed, 100% grass-fed meat? Are you doing organic, local? Because then you can actually know how the animals are treated. Because if those hormones are high, they're in tight cages, they're, eating their own feces. I'm sorry to get a little graphic, but if they don't see this sunshine, at all, their cortisol is going to be really high. Well, if you're eating them, you're going to eat those hormones are getting in your body.
Yeah.
We don't always sense that, but look at our society. Girls are getting their menses a lot earlier. They're developing a lot sooner. We know the hormones, and the chicken of, like our grandparents' time is way different, and they say, oh, no. But look at the sizes. They're huge compared to what they used to be. And it's a business. So we have to understand that as well. But we can make healthier choices. And the nice part is the more people make healthier choices, guess what happens to the prices of healthy food? What do you think? It goes up or goes down if more people buy it?
Well, if the demand also ends up, the demand definitely went up. So
that's what's been happening.
Go up as well, then yeah, that would be a good thing.
Yeah, and honestly, in Tampa, and you've probably been seeing this, but the health food stores, how many number of health food stores started to pop up now? Yeah. When I was here, it's only like 1 or 2, and I've seen Sprouts and stuff. So the nice part is I'm not like everything has to be, just one way or the other. I would love to see McDonald's just give healthier options too. And I know most people go there just for kind of the junk food, but why not pick gifts for folks who do want healthier options? And they started to do that. We've seen some McDonald's with veggie burgers. Chick-fil-A has the kale and broccoli. So, and if you educate kids early, my nieces, one is 5 years old. They love broccoli. My little niece is 2. She loves it too.
And certainly keeping away from going to McDonald's all the time would be but I think that more of us, like in this community, probably, like you said, a couple things that we are guilty of, and we've just recently started making the better choices with the organic food and stuff like that. I'm definitely guilty of the consuming too much caffeine, but we don't go to a McDonald's ever. So doctor, in addition to nutrition and rest, if you had to pick just 1 or 2 other things that you think, like, hey, this is, for sure, we're running out of time kind of, but if you had a couple more things that you wanted to say, these are for sure your people need to know. What would it be? Yeah, so I wanted, just going back, water, 100%, make sure you hydrate with electrolytes, because honestly, if you just drink water and you don't have either the emergency powder in there or some electrolytes, and I wouldn't do Gatorade just because it has all those FG, the dyes. There's nothing red like that color or blue in normal in society. So really go ahead, go ahead and think about what would be a good hydrator for your body. Coconut water is another one I recommend. And then the other part is mental stress. Right. So recognize that we can practice, because I have a lot of patients that literally they feed their stress every single day. They either watch the news all the time, or they're literally talking about, I'm anxious. Why own a disease? Now, if you want to be anxious, keep saying it, right? I'm a black belt. That's awesome. Say that, and I'm continuously growing and changing and doing the 7 C's. Awesome. But if you feed your mind something that's not healthy mentally too, what is that going to do to your body? And remember, your brain doesn't know good or bad. It only knows what you tell it. So if you're constantly feeding it something that you don't want, it's going to go there. And it's okay to say, I'm in the process of training to feel amazing. I'm in the process of feeling relaxed and calm, and then actually do the breathing. So in my book, I do actually talk about a simple process of just breathing in. You can breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then just slowly exhale for 8 seconds, and then just pause. And the breath guides you. So remember, as you know, confidence, you want to act happy to be happy. You want to act fearless to be fearless. You can act calm to be calm. So the breath sends a signal to the brain that you're calm. And remember, you can't be sad when you're glad. Can't be sad when you're glad. So you just acting calm, happy, your body starts to go there. You feel better. And then guess what? We make better decisions. We're showing up more for practice. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing on a regular basis, and life is good. Absolutely. And again, the thing where it's so similar, right? Because that's that principle we talk about, about focus, right? We get more of what we focus on, energy flows where focus goes, and you're so right. It's like, but they're things that are easy, like Jim Rohn used to say. Remember Jim Rohn used to say, the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do, right?
Exactly.
So that's the real issue. I think most people maybe if not, hopefully we just educated them, but then it's being able to actually practice it. I think
So what I do is baby steps. Honestly, and there's a whole movement called the Kaizen method, where you literally just do something towards your goal. And I honestly, my friend taught me that, and when she first said, I thought she was off her rocker, but for growing my business, she said every day just do something towards your business. It may be making a phone call, it may be doing a flyer, it may be creating something, but just do something towards that goal. So for you, if you're deciding, I want to lose a few pounds, maybe it's literally just eating one vegetable a day. Can I eat one more vegetable than I normally do a day? Or if I eat none, can I eat one?
Yeah.
And then maybe can I walk one block, just one more block than I normally do?
Right.
So I think if we start putting it in that perspective, a lot of times momentum, one of the studies I read is once you get started, which we know is the hardest part, but once you get started, we tend to go. And we know also is coaching. That's why I love being part of leadership. We can read about karate or Krav Maga, and Drew and I can practice. It's not the same. It's not good. We're not going to learn from a grandmaster. We need to actually be in the action. So being around folks who actually are doing what you want to do, learning from them. Because honestly, I tell my patients, you can watch me. I'll kind of give you a life in the day of Tanya or Dr. Gold, and you can just literally see day to day what I do and my first focus, honestly, is health. Like I wake up and say, what am I eating today? I always think about my meal plans, what I'm going to be activity wise, what am I going to do action wise? I'm always going to think about where I'm going to, and I always make it happen. Even if it's the end of the day, I didn't do anything that I planned. Can I do some sit-ups or push-ups, or can I do some boxing now or kickboxing techniques?
That's outstanding. Well, one thing I will kind of say because I haven't even talked to you guys about it yet, but Drew and I had batted around this a little bit on this idea a few days ago, and so I'll say it officially now that I've already started planning the next Krav camp, and it's going to be not really a Krav camp. This one's going to be a black belt leadership weekend, and so in addition to the physical training, we're going to have everything that we've been talking about here, and I'm actually going to have you both as guest speakers, and so that they can spend a morning where you can go over all the holistic health with them and everything you just spoke about, and Dr. Drew would do that with his, and I'll do some black belt leadership training as well, and we're even going to do the Dr. Drew and I were talking about how we'll do the rock climbing wall and the ropes course and everything. It's going to be just entirely. We have that's all the details I'm going to give anybody about it right now. But the only reason I said it publicly was to invite you both as co-contributors to what's going to be our best experience yet.
I think we'd both be honored.
I would be honored to do that. Thank you for thinking of us.
Thank you. It means a lot to us.
Well, thank you guys. I so much appreciate you. I think that that you guys are, number one, amazing students that are going to be amazing black belts. But number two, the credibility that you already bring to the table from your other lives, I think just is a testament to the quality of people that we have here. Once again, I would agree. I would agree with. I think Dr. Drew's the one that said it. I mean, it's never been true before that there wasn't one person in my community that I didn't want to be around. The truth is, there's always been somebody sitting on the bench complaining about something, but until recent history. And I think maybe it's a testament to what you were talking about, Dr. Tanya, about the, you get more of what you focus on. And we focus so much on the positive and not the negative now that we don't have negative people. Like everybody is awesome. Positive and growing and getting better together. And I'm so grateful to both of you for being a part of that and for sharing with the audience today.
Thank you.
Honored. Thank you so much for having us.
All right, guys, and I will see you. What is today? Wednesday, son.
We'll see you this afternoon.
We're coming.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Bringing a friend too, just so you know.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
All right.
We wanted to always do this.
Thank you, doctor, and
Thank you.
you guys will be getting your new ranks at the Blackwood Extravaganza this Friday night, right?
Woohoo!
Exciting. So,
yes.
All right, guys. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again for having us.
Bye.
That's a heart.